the stars of our new documentary, These Little Ones, is Brandi Brassell. Brandi survived sex abuse and drug addiction as a child, was saved by Christ, and now dedicates her life to ministry work. It really is absolutely incredible. She helps rescue other women from the sex industry. She's a member of the Warrior Bride Ministries, which is dedicated to the rescue and recovery of children trafficked for all kinds of demonic purposes. Our interview with Brandi for These Little Ones only left us wanting to know even more about this satanic shadow industry. So, of course, we wanted to speak with her again as soon as possible. And Brandi Brassell joins us now. Brandi, thank you so much for coming. We appreciate it.
Yes, thank you, Stu, for having me.
So there are a specific number of satanic holidays. There is a correlation between these times and when a large number of children go missing. You alluded to this, obviously, in These Little Ones. When are these holidays, and when should people be the most guarded about their children?
Most of the Christian church is probably not going to like this answer, but these holidays are around the traditional holidays that are celebrated within your churches. Christmas and Easter are high holy days for the Satanic Church. All of your solstices, when you have the changing from winter to spring, and the changing of the seasons, those along with full moon. So their holidays are done on a moon rotation, not a set. So it depends on the new moons, the full moons, and the solstices mostly. But some of the highest being Christmas and Easter. And each holiday has its own requirements. Some are just blood sacrifices. Some are sexual sacrifices. And how they're, celebrated and acknowledged.
One of the things that you said in our previous interview, I think we only kind of scratched the surface. And as we've talked off air, Brandi can't really get, for the viewing audience, listening audience, Brandi can't really get into intimate details about these particular cases, because it would help to identify who the clients are at Warrior Bride Ministries and other people that Brandi has helped in her ministry work. And we don't want to do that. We're here to help people, not hurt them, obviously, and identifying these people specifically as relating to satanic ritual abuse would be a life ender for them, as we saw in the film with a survivor of satanic ritual abuse who said, who's involved with this? Well, do you want me to die? Of course not. So we do want to protect that anonymity. But you mentioned something that was really eye-popping, which actually instigated your appearance in These Little Ones. And that was that kids are offering or presenting other kids as sacrifice. Tell our audience exactly what you mean by that.
So some of the girls are brought up as breeders, and that is meaning that they are scheduled in ritual abuse at specific times, so that if they are impregnated at a specific holiday that requires a human sacrifice, they have a newborn child available for that, which can be easier or sometimes is required for the holiday, as opposed to kidnapping a child and keeping them for a week, grooming them for a sacrifice. So it just depends. There's breeders that are brought up that sometimes it just happens, where they have a child that has had a child, and there's a ritual done where the child is sacrificed either for blood or even cannibalism rituals.
People don't believe that this is going on, Brandi. They don't. They cannot accept it. I don't know if it's because their brains are not capable of, opening up to this kind of information, or if they just think that, this kind of talk is crazy, that there's just no way that this kind of evil could be taking place in this country. But right. There is a huge underbelly to this. These Little Ones, 56 minutes long. To cover this, it would have to be 4 hours and 56 minutes long. And so how big, how vast is this network? And how dark and how deep is the underbelly of this rabbit hole?
It is much bigger than even you and I are ready to admit. I believe it's every time I'm found, there's connections with this group and that group, and how, they're, because the children are passed around within the different groups, the different satanic groups, whether it be a generational or a power group that's done through the military. These children are sold and bought and trafficked, and you get into programming and mind control and everything else with that. But it's a lot bigger than anyone truly, I believe, wants to admit.
We touched on CPS was the focus, obviously. Baby Cyrus, Diego Rodriguez, This is, in my opinion, the largest child trafficking ring in the world. Do you agree with that, that CPS is the funnel for this gateway to the satanic ritual abuse and child sacrifice?
From my experience with the clients that's come through our office, we've had multiple clients that have either been moved around through CPS or CPS failed to protect them and left them in their abusive situations. And it's a running theme within our clients that there is some kind of interaction or play done with CPS with them.
So CPS is the common ground in a lot of the cases that you see.
It is in a lot of them, yes.
Do you think that there's a direct networking or communication between the child traffickers at CPS and some of these people involved with these satanic groups that carry out this ritual abuse?
There has to be. I mean, there has to be in order for, and I think, again, you can get into the military groups and everything else too. I think the politicians and all of that, I believe that all of them are networked together some way, somehow.
So there are catalogs, literal catalogs, where people, rich elites, can go through and look at babies, the color of their eyes, their background, their ethnicity, their heritage, and shop for kids. That's the truth, isn't it? This happens.
Okay, so from my experience, I can share with you, I have a client that has told me stories about having to go to tanning beds at a young age because the person that wanted, that was shopping, if you will, wanted someone of a darker complexion. So I would venture to say that that is true. You have specifics of what a person is looking for when they're shopping for a child, and they'll groom or whatever they need to do, cut your hair. I mean, whatever to fit that profile that the person is the perpetrator is looking for.
If a person finds a child that they want, that they believe is valuable and marketable and that they can sell, and they take that child from their parents and then they sell them, that's a crime. I mean, that's abduction, that's kidnapping, that's child trafficking by definition. CPS gets paid to do this. What makes them a legal entity, and how can this continue in this country?
Well, again, it goes back to how corrupt or how deep the corruption runs. You've got government of associations and agencies that are protecting them and that are essentially enabling or aiding in it. So I mean, it just continues on because there's so many involved in it.
These little ones, by the way, at stewpeters.com right now. If you have not seen this, you have to go there, because if you don't understand what's happening, this is the eye opener to allow you to dig deeper into these things. And if we were to dig deeper into any one of these things, Brandi, what would you say that people should look at? What was missed in the 56 minutes that should have been obviously 10 hours or more?
For me, I would say that it's the healing side of it, because you rescue them, you get them off the streets, but then you have a very broken person. And I think that a lot of people miss it after that. They're like, oh, we've rescued them, oh, we've saved them, but you can't just leave them in that position. You can't just leave them in that condition. So I think that the healing, again, and it goes into the spiritual, physical, and emotional, all of that has to be healed for a person to be made whole.
And a person can be made whole again.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
What you're doing and what Warrior Bride Ministries is doing, I thank you so much. Honestly, it is the most important thing in the world that we can do.
And for me, it's an honor. I feel like Yahweh has entrusted me with some of his broken, most fragile, and it's an honor to be where I'm at, doing what I'm doing.
Yes, he has. God bless you. Brandi Brassell, thank you so much for being here and for taking the time out for these little ones. Amazing job. And your bravery is just so noble. We really appreciate it. It's very humbling to have people like you. You're truly heaven sent. We appreciate it. God bless you.
Thank you.
No, thank you.